Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive tonight. I'm Dave Valente. How are y'all doing tonight? AJ, how you doing?
I am doing well, surviving Tennessee as always.
Yeah.
How are y'all?
Good, and surviving another bout of COVID as
Are you
well.
kidding me?
Yeah, we did that
It
too. I
sucks.
forgot. It's just the plague. Whichever round it is this time, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
I'm sad to hear that. Tyler has it too, unfortunately, right now.
it's making
oh,
its rounds. Like a lot of people are getting it.
Yep.
it is.
That's
It
why I
is.
think we
Yeah,
should
yeah.
bring back all the mask mandates and
Oh God,
just kidding.
Jesus Christ!
It's like, who are
That's
you?
like my entire Twitter feed is nothing but people screaming about mask mandates, which I haven't seen any actual mask mandates yet. I've seen a couple companies say, "Hey, we'd appreciate
I
your mask," but not like a municipality or even a state.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple colleges that have shut down. There's a school in Kentucky, but to be fair, that same school in Kentucky, uh, the they have a lot of health issues because the kids aren't brushing their teeth regularly either. So sorry.
That
Oh, mask
happens.
mandate might solve that because if you
Just,
can't,
I mean,
if you have to constantly breathe it
you
in,
elect Vermin Supreme, and you've
Exactly
got
right.
toothbrushing mandates, and those kids will be healthier. I'm
Yeah.
telling you that. That's how it's got to go. So, uh, exciting news to announce tonight. In fact, I'm going to remove the chat thing for a moment. Thank you for everyone chatting, Hody and Janice and everybody. But really cool thing happening now. What is the political deep dive need more than anything? What does a good podcast need?
Drama.
Well, okay,
we've got
drama.
that.
Yeah, we got that.
Check.
Uh, edibles.
Oh, well,
I mean, I'm not going to say
that is
no.
an idea.
Not going to say no about that. Well, how about
Yes.
a merch store?
Ooh.
We've got a merch store now run by AJ. Tell us about the merch store.
Yay.
All
I was
right.
browsing through that store today. I love some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
good
I
stuff.
really?
think the never vote Republican again is going to catch on.
I have that shirt in watermelon, and it's a super soft t-shirt. I ran it through the
Watermelon.
washer and the dryer on high and regular.
Hi.
So, like to beat it up, yeah. High. To beat it up as much as possible. I put it in there with like a pair of jeans just to see if it would like lose some of its
I'll drop the
the
QR
feeling
code.
or the print or anything, and everything worked out really well. But yeah, we are Lou Dog Design on Etsy because that's the one that I can figure out right now. I do have a couple of different sections. We have a political deep dive section with
There
a
we go.
couple of nice t-shirts. We've got a hoodie and a sweatshirt, a couple of different designs on those, just whatever floats your boat. Of course, we have the coffee mug
Yeah,
and the tote bag because everybody's got to have a tote bag.
of
And
course.
then there's the other designs that I have. I'm very anti-Republican. Shocking, I know. I'm also very opinionated. Shocking, I
No.
know. But
AJ
we got
opinionated?
some of
What?
those.
No.
Yeah. Uh, interesting stuff. Now I've got some beanies, some bags, and I'm working on a couple of different designs. Whatever strikes me. I
That woke
support
AF
local music.
one is
Yes.
awesome.
Like that.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I like that one. These bags, of course, since the planet's on fire and all we can really do is reduce our personal use because the rich people just going to keep on riching, we can use these bags. Instead of getting all of the plastic bags at Walmart, you can use these instead.
Yeah, if you're
They
tired of
seem,
having the bag of bags,
yes,
you can have a
and
bag of
all of
these
the plastic.
bags. Yeah.
Yes, and they do work on pickup. I have discovered this. If you check on your Walmart pickup, because I love that, if you do that, you check on there that you will bring your own bags and you bring these kinds of tote bags, they will put your groceries in these tote bags.
That is awesome.
So there you go. It can be used. Let's see, what else do I got? There's a few hats as well. I took a little play on the Republicans because fuck those guys. And the red hat, but never vote Republican again. This is for specifically anyone that has felt they did not have a choice at the ballot box. When you are voting, NOTA is always a choice. Thank you, Libertarian Party. That is one thing that I will keep forever from you is none of the above. Um, it's valid. And people are going to tell you, oh, but the poor poll workers are going to have to. Well, maybe they'll put pressure on the political parties to give you better candidates. I'm just saying it has to start
Would be nice. Would be
so. If
nice.
you're like Tennessee and you don't have ballot access and you don't have very big Democratic Party, um, never voting Republican again is an option. So there you go.
And I just want to say, you can also vote and not put anybody in, and that will
Mhm.
still count as a blank ballot. And
Yeah.
that's an important thing. It's a very
Yeah.
important statement.
Um, NOTA does feel a little bit sassy, which means there's probably going to be a NOTA t-shirt coming real soon because I don't know. I kind of want one now. Oh, and I don't have the t-shirt on right now, but the Never Vote Republican Again, I designed it specifically with chest in mind because I have a problem with t-shirts and like half the verbiage is below my tits, so you can't read it, right? So I fixed that. I raised it up a little bit so it's where you can read it, even if you have boobs or moobs or whatever you happen to have it going on in this area.
I got
So
moves.
there
All
you
right.
go.
Well, let me we'll take this off and then we're gonna put the
I'm
QR
in the
code.
yard
If you got your
training.
phone with you, you can take a picture of this QR code. I'll take you right to Louis Dog Design. It's on Etsy. Uh, or Lou Dog Design, I'm sorry. It's on Etsy. Scan the QR code, it'll take you right there. And I will also put in the make sure I
James,
get the
be
right.
careful.
This is not the easiest website, but let me put that into the
It's
chat.
not.
Smart, tiny URL is your friend.
It is, but it's out there now. Sorry,
Well,
y'all.
and you don't have to include the Facebook pixel link.
Yeah, but there we go. So that's the website. If you want to go there, check it out. Appreciate it. But let's bring on our guest. I'm so excited to have our guest tonight. And perhaps Brianna can tell us about maybe we do have a choice on the ballot this time. So Brianna is with the Center for New Liberalism and with the Democratic Freedom Caucus. Brianna Coyle, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are y'all
Thank you.
doing?
We're
What's up,
doing
Brianna?
great. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I've been following your journey, both with the Libertarian Party and then after the Libertarian Party, and what you're doing, and the path that you've taken since leaving the Libertarian Party has fascinated me. We often hear about people going to the Republican Party after leaving the Libertarian Party and going the right way, going the more fascist way. Let's just be honest about that. And you've gone kind of the opposite direction. You've gone to the Democratic Party, or at least with the Democratic Freedom Caucus, and you've done the Center for New Liberalism. So let's take each of those in turn. Let's talk about the Center for New Liberalism. Talk about that and what that entails.
I'm actually going to back up a second real quick
Sure.
to talk about like the thought process that led me here to begin with. For people who don't know me, I was in the Libertarian Party since I was 17, officially when I was 18. I was never registered as a Democrat or a Republican prior to being in the Libertarian Party. Despite what many people claimed, I couldn't have. I was 17, right? So
You're a gold star libertarian.
Yeah. I had always talked about, I'd always saw the hypocrisy of libertarians who said, oh, we are not left or right, but they would always side with the Republicans or the right wing every single time, all the time. And I was one of the people who was like, well, we have to make these bridges with the left too. And that's something I've been talking about since the very beginning, because most of the issues that I care about the most are things that people on the left care about the most. Like, I don't really care very much about guns and taxes in comparison to getting people out of prison for marijuana, or for making sure that abortion is, safe and legal. And anyway, not to get into whole tangents about that, but I was in the Libertarian Party, left the Libertarian Party. Anyone who knows. Won't get into the whole story there. But upon leaving, I thought about a few different options, and I looked through a few. There were new third parties forming. A lot of people were just not voting anymore after leaving the party. They were just saying, I'm done with politics. For me, I felt like I couldn't quite say that yet because I hadn't been in the party for 10, 20 years. I hadn't been in politics for 10, 20 years. I feel like I was just trying to get started, and that never happened. So upon leaving the Libertarian Party, the most logical conclusion for me was to join the Democratic Party. The Republican Party was never going to be an option. I had not considered it. The Republican Party has arguably destroyed the country in unfathomable ways since 2016, since Trump, right? Like, the Republican Party is the party of Trump now. There is no mistake about that. So anyways, join the Democratic Party, and within the Democratic Party, there are a few interesting factions that caught my eye. The Center for New Liberalism, formerly called the Neoliberal Project, has always been sort of a home for like center-left, libertarian-esque type people and type views. And I gotta say, I've been seeing them actually do things. Like, at first, like, they started as like a Reddit group or something, and it was, I thought it was interesting and stuff like that. But then I saw that they were gathering a lot of members, a lot of support. They were actually talking to elected officials. They were pushing policy forward, and that caught my attention.
Are there any mainstream elected officials that you would say exemplify this group, this caucus?
I'm trying to. There is actually a few. I believe, I don't want to butcher his name. Peter Jackson from North Carolina.
Okay.
No, Jeff Jackson.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Representative Jeff Jackson. If you're not following him on TikTok, he is kind of cutting that in the Justin Amash mode of explaining all of his votes and explaining a lot of the stuff that goes on in Congress. It's a really fascinating follow. I really like him. May not agree with him on everything, but I think a lot of the stuff that he puts out there, at least, he shows you how the sausage is made. So if you like Justin Amash, I think you'll like Jeff Jackson.
Yeah, that was just one person that had popped into my head real quick. But so there is a caucus called the New Democrat Coalition. That's not officially affiliated with the Center for New Liberalism in any way. However, a lot of the policies they support are also supported by people in CNL. So typically, we do support a lot of their candidates. They typically support pragmatic liberal candidates that are trying to push forward policy that will improve people's lives and not create more needless bureaucracy.
So, let's talk about some of the policies that CNL pushes, because I think a lot of time when people hear just the word liberal, they freak out, and they're thinking of socialism and communism, and that's just where the politics of the United States has driven the conversation when it comes to just that word liberal, which for libertarians, we know that that's kind of the grandfather of libertarianism is liberalism. It's that line of thought that let us choose our way and remove the bonds of government from our lives so we make our choices. So tell me about some of the policy positions of CNL.
Would you be able to pull up their site real quick to show everybody?
Absolutely. I can.
That'd be great. Yeah. They have a quick and easy card that has like a few sentences for each, but it's not directly on their website. They have paragraphs on the website, but they focus on a very select few issues, and they don't try to talk about the whole pie. Which pros and cons to that. Oh, there we go.
Let me hide the chat overlay right quick. Sorry, everybody. I'll try and get to your comments as soon as possible. But here's some of the stuff at the Center for New Liberalism. So liberal values. We believe in the core liberal principles like democratic representation, equality before the law, an open society, freedom of speech, association, religion, press, all that. Ideal is the foundation of our political philosophy. We believe in the importance of a strong institutions, the norms and rules that constrain and motivate our public behavior. Positive societal outcomes require strong, inclusive institutions, and we believe holding fast to our core principles and core institutions. Then we talk about social liberalism. Social liberals, yeah. Again, if you came to the Libertarian Party and you're about equality and choosing your own path in life, that social liberalism will speak to you. Economic policy, I think, is where I think some libertarians may blanch at some of the ideas here. Mm-hmm. I think for me, if you're looking, I think a lot of people get really scared when you talk about the country of Sweden, but I think this is kind of where I think of this, where this is going. This is a strong capitalist economy, but a strong social safety net included.
And it's really important to make that distinction. Socialism has nothing to do with a social safety net. Socialism is an economic thing. The government owns the means of production. A social safety net is people looking out for each other, and that has nothing to do with socialism.
It bothers me when people are like, oh, this social program is socialism. And I'm like, no, that is not what socialism means. If workers are not owning the means of production, if the boss and worker hierarchy is not abolished, it's not socialism in my book. That is just, yeah. Yep. That is just welfare capitalism. That is what that is.
Yes.
But so CNL and neoliberals in general are very open about being capitalist and about, supporting social safety nets. They are neoliberals in the same vein as Milton Friedman and Friedrich Hayek. They don't claim to be libertarians like Rothbard or Ayn Rand, right? And a lot of people forget this. A lot of people, they think of Friedman and Hayek and they have some preconceived notions about them. But meanwhile, guys like them, they supported things like universal basic income. I'm not saying Yang's policies specifically, but they did support a guaranteed minimum income. They did support things like land value taxes, and they supported a lot of things that libertarians absolutely do not support. But libertarians love to claim Friedman and Hayek as their own. And I'm using libertarian in a very strict sense right here, meaning like right-wing libertarian party type libertarians. Typically, when I do use the word libertarian, I include classical liberals and neoliberals and all of them. But then the terms start getting really confusing because not many people use it in the very broad sense that I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. It's hard. I mean, it's like you need a program to tell who's on the field when it comes to libertarianism nowadays. So
yeah.
But yeah, this is an interesting thing. I always draw the comparison to Sweden in this, and that they do have that strong social safety net. And there's that misconception whenever we start talking about like AOC and Bernie Sanders, that what they're talking about is Sweden. Not really. They're much more on the socialism side. They just want to point to a country that makes it kind of look good. But when you look at when you study the basics behind what goes on in Sweden, we'll probably do a show on Sweden at some point. it's a very capitalist economy. It's one of the freer capitalist economies in the world, and it's what helps make them work is their strong social safety net. So, um, that I think it has a little bit for everyone. That yes, we have the capitalism, but we also have the ability to take care of people. And I think a lot of the people in Sweden will say that they don't mind putting into the system because they know that they're taking out of the system as well. I think a lot of the problems that we see with our welfare state is that we have othered it. Like that I put the money in, but some so and so, just like that hot new song that's out there, the guy's eating the fudge rounds, and I'm mad about that. Honestly, it's again, we all benefit off of the system, but in the United States, our
Well,
system is
I would think that
fundamentally broken.
most conservatives would think of Sweden as a paradise because the nation that masked the least, that did the least government lockdown,
Yeah,
was Sweden.
it was.
So don't tell me that that's a socialist country and then complain that you're worried about government overreach in the United States because Sweden didn't do it.
They
Uh,
did not.
you know, everybody's got the thing that's right for them. I say this all the time. In Massachusetts, we passed Romney Care, which became the roadmap for Obamacare. I wasn't thrilled with Romney Care, but the thing that I liked best about it was that the state of Massachusetts, which has an average household income now of $85,000, uh, voted, yeah, we want to do this with the money that we have. And it was sort of a voluntary thing. And the way Romney Care / Obamacare works, the more people involved, the more the risks are spread out. So if New Hampshire had wanted to join, they could have joined.
Yeah,
Uh, then, of course, the problem is when the federal government takes it over and imposes it on everybody else against their will. But
exactly.
different people should be allowed to make choices in terms of what they want to do. And so, I'm not a huge fan of a mandated tax or anything like that. But the idea that Massachusetts people can make choices for Massachusetts, Swedish people can make choices for Sweden, as long as, the sole purpose of the federal government, and the sole legitimate purpose of the federal government, in my eyes, is to make sure that the rights of the people are protected against state governments.
They are.
If I could just chime in real quick, I saw Ron Will's comment on
Yeah.
screen. I don't believe there's anything involving unions in the platform. This is not one of the policy issues that we focus on. However, plenty of members do support the strikes right now.
Well, and let me point out that libertarians 100% support unions. There should be no question about that because libertarians believe in freedom of assembly. Okay? A union is a corporation that sells labor. And libertarians support people trying to get as much as possible on the fair market. So if you're a union and you want to find a way to sell the labor of all the members of the union and get as much money for it as you can, libertarians are 100% behind that. So the idea that libertarians are anti-union is crazy. What we're against is when the government makes special laws protecting people because they're in a union. That part is as bad as government making special laws protecting corporations. Government shouldn't cede its
I'll go back to Sweden in that Sweden has the highest labor participation in the world. Their unions are not mandated; they're free choice. And the cool thing about Sweden is that you actually have competition among unions within an industry. Right. So you can join one union or join another depending on what benefits they promise you, based on the representation. So there's competition. Not just in your labor market, but in your skills, but in the representation of you going forward. I also see a lot of globalism and trade. That's one of the things that I always felt most uncomfortable with within the Libertarian Party. Not so much. I didn't buy into that we're isolationist, but I think that we're in a world, if you want to have the freedom of movement within the world, I mean, I think a lot of people have closed their mind off to being open to people from around the world. I think that was the thing that always bothered me the most about being in the Libertarian Party, is that there are so many people that were so closed off to the idea of that freedom is not just within the boundaries of the United States. It is a universal right.
Right. I
Absolutely.
will say it's interesting that, this immigration policy does contradict a larger one, a larger idea within the general Democratic Party, which is that the purpose of a lot of immigration is to protect American jobs. That's, a Bernie Sanders position first and foremost. And the idea that, I mean,
Well,
it's vague
that's
in
true.
terms, yeah, it's vague in terms of saying, a more open immigration structure. It is, generally speaking, and I mean, obviously Republicans are the worst of this. I mean, the South Park guys, they took our jobs. They want to lock down the borders, but it is an interesting thing. And, one of the reasons that, Bernie Sanders, who is a true socialist, opposes immigration is because his argument is that corporations will use immigration to undermine wages. We, of course, know that, freedom is freedom. And if you don't want corporations to have power or anything like that, then just get rid of corporations. Libertarians obviously are opposed to corporations.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that line of thought for immigration is dying out in the Democratic Party. I think that's it is a traditional view of many Democrats, because a lot of, it's, people can argue that open borders would hurt unions, which I think is a fair argument. But I also think I believe in open borders because I see it as a human rights issue and not solely an economics issue.
Right.
And a lot of neolibs are very open about saying, like, we support open borders, right? And we want taco trucks in every corner. So that's kind of that funny little slogan takes a double approach there, because on one hand it's talking about immigration, on the other hand it's talking about like zoning and occupational licensing reform. But sorry, just had to throw that out there if anyone hadn't heard that.
That's a great
That
point.
is yeah.
Absolutely.
But one other thing that really differentiates self-proclaimed neoliberals from self-proclaimed libertarians is, and I don't want to get too much into philosophy here, but I'd say a lot of libertarians are more deontologist leaning and a lot of neoliberals are more utilitarian.
Can you explain what you mean by deontologist?
Oh boy, I am not yet a philosophy major by any means, but
That's okay. You're going to do better than most of our listeners who are wondering what it means.
Yeah.
I'll try this. People who believe that humans have individual rights that shall not be sacrificed, even if it is for the common good or the greater good. Would you say that's an accurate, a very, very simplistic way of putting it?
No, it's not. I mean, it's simplistic because it's a simple concept. The idea is that nobody will be told that they have to put aside their individual concerns, because you should be concerned for yourself individually. And that if there's some situation where you can do something that will save the lives of 100 people, it's up to that 100 people to persuade you that it's the right thing to do. We shouldn't force you to do it.
Mm-hmm. And I'd say, I mean, I don't want to use the word force here, but utilitarians would take the opposite approach, where there are circumstances where the rights of the many do outweigh the rights of the few. That is what I'd say is the big distinction between the two groups that we're talking about here.
Yeah, and we talk about that sort of edge all the time. The example that I always use is that, you talk about eminent domain, and most of us would say that we're generally opposed to the idea of eminent domain. But if I lived in a town and there was a cliff and somebody who owned the land on top of the cliffs had a giant boulder there and they wouldn't move it, we're justified in saying, yeah, you know what, we're going to go move that boulder if you won't do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, one of my favorite comments is Ralph Nader, when talking about the Keystone Pipeline and all the land that was going to be seized with eminent domain. which aside from the fact that it's terrible that they're going to seize land through eminent domain, they're actually going to seize land that we had given over to indigenous people through treaty. And so we're going to not just seize land, but
Violate treaties.
violate treaties that we've given. And Ralph Nader said, whatever you want to think about eminent domain, can we at least agree that the idea of eminent domain, seizing land for the public good, doesn't include greater profits for oil companies who won't have to build quite as long a pipeline? I thought that was an excellent point.
That's a good point.
Absolutely. So I'm down with the immigration, the housing. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Climate and energy. I would say this is probably another misconceived idea where we would differ. So you now do does CNL promote the carbon tax, that type of stuff?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, not to speak for CNL as a whole, but generally people who are members do support taxing negative externalities as opposed to taxing, production.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does say right there, placing a price on carbon. But it also says that they support renewable energies of all kinds, including nuclear. Now,
yes.
I'm going to slightly quibble that nuclear is not renewable. I'm not making any more uranium. But I am happy to see people who say that nuclear has to have an important role in what we want to do, because just the scale of what we want can't be done any other way.
Yeah, I think it's naive to have a climate policy or energy policy that doesn't have nuclear involved in it. It's just because, that's the one that's going to produce the most energy. I know that there are risks, but that's because we haven't invested in improving the technology, or prevented from improving the technology.
It is also important to talk about what the risks actually are, right? I mean, in the two of the three worst nuclear power plant disasters, right? 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima, right? The two where they actually were taking security of the system seriously, even in a terrible disaster, bad things did not really happen on a large scale, right? We look at what happened in Fukushima. Millions of people didn't die from radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
Our friend Jeff Lyons did get radiation poisoning from Fukushima, but in general, not that many people did. And, I know I'm not thrilled about the idea that they're releasing that radioactive water into the ocean right now, but it is, it's a big ocean.
The dispersed effect is going to be negligible. I wouldn't shrimp off of Fukushima anytime soon, but.
Hey, so if you could put Ron's comment on the screen. Ron said, "I don't know about you, but I plan to become a delegate for the DNC National Convention in Chicago next year. It's an interesting process to become a delegate for the DNC. They did get rid of the super delegates. However, my mom was a delegate not that long ago, and it's political.
Oh, it is.
Like, as you would imagine, become a political. And Dave, you probably know a lot more about this, about what it used to be like in the RNC to become a delegate.
Well, I know a lot of what happened in the DNC, because my mom and my sister have had a long history with the DNC, and I was a delegate to the 1992 New Mexico State Democratic Convention, and how political that was.
Yeah.
It is a very long, and it's not, if you've done the Libertarian Party, that is a cakewalk to become a delegate.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking,
Right.
You generally have to be a committee person or a donor, big time
Right.
donor. That will help you out. But yeah, it's
or stage a massive coup. So a friend of mine named Evan Kenny was 19 years old, and he was a Ron Paul supporter. And in Massachusetts, when it came time to choose the delegates to go to Tampa, they brought all the Ron Paul people to the nominating committee convention. And so he actually ended up beating Mitt Romney in a head-on-head election to get the nomination. But then the Republican Party pulled some shenanigans, wouldn't let him go.
Yeah.
Rachel Maddow had him on her show, and she said, "Look, Republicans, you want a grassroots campaign. This is the grass that Ron Paul planted. This 19-year-old kid who's fervent and wants to go to your convention, and you're not letting him go because he won't sign a legal document saying that he'll vote for Mitt Romney on the first ballot."
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. But so, Ron, I think it's awesome that you want to become a delegate. Start planning now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of work involved. Ken's got a good question for us.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably more after when we start doing the Democratic Freedom Caucus, because you're also involved in that. But I do like at the very bottom, pragmatism. Pragmatism is, I think, was always such a dirty word within the Libertarian Party that, that working with other parties, maybe not so much the communists and the Lyndon LaRoucheites, but working with the other parties to move the policy ball forward, I think is something that when I tried to do it within the Libertarian Party, that I got called not a real libertarian and all that stuff. So, but pragmatism, I think, for any political movement to be taken seriously, pragmatism has to be at the heart of it.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of libertarians and Libertarian Party, there has been a debate since the party formed as to whether or not the Libertarian Party should even run candidates to win elections.
Yeah.
Right? There was this whole debate. Should we win elections and try to push policy, or should we just try to spread a message? And that debate never ended. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Even the people who say that they want to run candidates and win elections, they care a lot more about getting that message out there than actually pushing policy forward. And at some point, for myself personally, I was just tired of whatever the message may be, and I wanted to make things marginally better for people now. And not 10 years from now, not 20 years from now, not 30 years from now. I wanted to start now, however big or small it may be. And libertarians, just they're not in the game. And a lot of them never really tried to be. Granted, plenty of people did. There have been plenty of candidates that were fairly successful. But in the grand scheme of things, in the past 50 years, what can you say the party has really accomplished in terms of pushing policy forward in the country? There's nothing to show for it. And this isn't just the Libertarian Party. This is third parties in general.
Yeah, I think we can take a fair credit for cannabis legalization, sports gambling. I would argue that 12 years ago, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton both said that marriage is between a man and a woman.
So I was actually writing about this recently. I'll stop you on that one. We can talk about, I don't care about sports betting, so I'm not going to talk about it. A lot of people are like, the Libertarian Party supported gay marriage, marriage equality, the LGBTQ community since the beginning. Not necessarily. What the party did support was getting the government out of marriage, and they were against anti-gay laws. The Libertarian Party never made any moral claims on whether or not queer people should be able to really live their lives the way they want to, officially in the platform. I'm not talking about what activists have always said. There have been plenty of people in the party that have been very supportive of the community. But anyways, plenty of people said, well, the Democrats didn't. But in the same years that the Libertarian Party had this stuff in their platform, the Democrats were fighting, plenty of Democrats were fighting for the same thing. The only difference is Democratic Party, much bigger, much stronger, and much more influence there. Libertarian Party, it was kind of easy to get something like that into the platform. And libertarians want to remove government from everything. So it's kind of a no-brainer there.
I'm talking about their presidential candidates.
Yeah.
Right? Well, who was the first presidential candidate on the Democratic side to be in favor of marriage equality?
There was a candidate, I'm trying to remember his name, but it was in the 70s.
For sure. there were some very progressive candidates who absolutely, I would say that there were people in the Democratic Party. Let me say Democratic nominee. And I think you'd have to say it's Barack Obama in 2012, reversing his position from 2008
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
said that, and here's the thing, and this is the one part that galls me. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama both reversed their position. Now, do I really think they reversed their position, or did they actually throw the LGBT allies under the bus because they thought it was a losing position, and so politically they were going to say that? Because I do think that that's what happened, and it sucks, but at least they're better about it now, which
Yes.
is the opposite direction the Libertarian Party is going. So,
And that honestly, and that's that's playing politics. They are playing the game. They might have supported it the whole time and said they didn't. Maybe they didn't support it and they said they did. I don't know them. I can't say whether or not that's true. But in terms of the policy that has come out of the Democratic Party,
right. And where it is now, like if you look at the issues now, and I think trans visibility is the issue now. And if you get a chance to line up on decide which side you want to be on, it's clear the Democrats are on the right side of this.
Yes.
Brianna and I marched.
Can we say correct instead of right? Sorry.
I will try. I will try and work on my vocabulary. Brianna and I marched in the first trans visibility parade in DC together.
Nice.
And
wait, no, Dan, that wasn't me. I was not there.
are you sure?
Yes.
All right.
I
Let me
had
go back
only just been to DC for the first time for the New Liberal Action Summit this year. I'd never been to DC before.
I'm gonna go
It's
back.
right, there's a lot of people who look like me.
I'm gonna go back and look at my pictures, but I could be wrong. But so the thing about it is that there were plenty of Democratic leaders who were out there marching with that part of it, and so I think that a lot of Democrats realized that they were behind the gun before, behind the pace of progress in this space, and that they're working hard to be there now. And the thing about it is that it's one of those things that when it comes to being, sort of a tolerance issue, the one thing that the Democrats are doing 100% right, and I will argue that a lot of their goals in terms of intersectionality are misguided, stuff like that. But the one thing they're doing right is they're saying, if we're going to make a mistake, let's make a mistake on the side of tolerance and then work back from there. And that's where everybody should be going.
Well, I agree with that. I remember having this argument with a group of libertarians. I know, shocking. But I was having right.
Right.
But I was
the
chair of the whiskey region, right? And we had this great opportunity to phone bank against the Republicans in Tennessee and them going after the trans community, because back then it was just about bathrooms, which seems so long ago, but it was literally like 2.5 years ago. And I was having to argue with them on why we should participate and why it was okay for Dave Jones, the chair at the time, to put that in the chat. He was like, this doesn't seem like a libertarian issue. I'm like, they are legislating against human beings. How is this not the libertarian issue? They are legislating against human beings. And I had to say it so many times to convince them. And I'm like, there's just no hope here. Like this is ridiculous.
And even if we take if we're talking about like the private property absolutist type of libertarians, it comes down to the question, whose property is it? Do the property owners want it to be gender neutral? Okay, cool. That should be the end of that discussion.
Yeah.
Of course, not every libertarian is like a propertarian, and there is more nuance to these conversations. But yeah, libertarians were absolutely unhinged on a lot of LGBTQ issues. And I'd only been in the party from around 2018 to 2022, but it got bad after a while. And so somebody asked me recently, is the Democratic Party really that much better than the Libertarian Party? And I was like, you know what? I haven't been called any slurs in the past year. I think that's progress from my peers.
I knew more about the harassment of you before I had ever met you. Before the very first Zoom meeting that you and I were both on, I knew how badly you were treated. like that's how I knew your name, is how badly you were mistreated. Like
And
Brianna's a warrior, and that's
the
when I
funny thing
knew.
is, I never had any positions of power. I was Macy's caucus enemy number 5, let's say, and I was never a county chair, a state chair. I was not on the LNC. I was just a person.
So-
I was just an activist.
Yeah, that's the thing. You are.
I agree.
So I think you were attacked, and I think a lot of it came from the fact that you are such an effective activist
Right.
for what you
That's
do,
why.
the things that you stand up for,
Okay.
the people that you stand up for, the issues that you stand up for. You are so effective. The people that you work with, you are so effective that you are a threat to people who want to hold down those issues. And the Macy's Caucus did that. I mean, that was a threat to them. And what you went through with the Libertarian Party, and since you've left the Libertarian Party, still happens, is absolutely beyond the pale, and absolutely horrible. I'm glad you got out. I'm glad. Like I say this all the time, that I feel like I got all the good people in the divorce. Like all the people that were in the Libertarian Party that I really, really like. And there are still some people that are in the Libertarian Party that I like. But I think the good ones left with me, and I'm glad I still got them in my life to talk to and work with. And but yeah, the abuse you suffered as just being an effective activist was just awful.
And it was. There's a statement, I don't know exactly who said it, but it said, "You will know them by the quality of their enemies." And that's exactly what it was. Is that because you were so effective, that's why people were really interested in shutting you up. I have reviewed my photo, and I am wrong, Brianna. I am looking at. If you let, I do want to
I'm so
share
glad
this.
it ended this way.
If you'll
Yeah.
just let me pop it up real quick, Dave, because I'm close, right? It's Damien. I thought you were Damien. I apologize.
That's okay. You can just like cut me out in Photoshop and just put me there. It'll be fine.
That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I generally do. In fact, if I'd been smart, I would have done that first.
I wish I had been there, but I was. What month was that? That was in 2018, right?
That was 2019, September 2019.
Okay, I was a baby libertarian.
Yeah.
So I wasn't traveling or anything like that at that point. I was just starting to get out there.
Fair
But,
enough. Well, I appreciate the fact that where the fight is now.
Yeah.
We're all
Do you
fighting-
want to pull up Hodie's previous question real quick?
Oh yeah.
I saw it somewhere.
I like the
Okay.
preamble.
Yeah. There are 2 ways I can answer this. First way is I have issues that I personally care about more than others. Simple as that, right? The second way is not everyone's conception of liberty, and especially among libertarians, is not the same. And I made a Facebook post about this recently, where when one person is talking about liberty and freedom and this and that, they might mean something completely different from what somebody else is talking about when they use the same words. And this comes back to the divide I was talking about earlier. Even among neoliberals and libertarians, they believe in a lot of the same policies, but they definitely come at it from a completely different outlook. Plenty of people will talk about maximizing individual liberty. And what does that really mean? Does that mean just eliminating government? Or does that mean using government to create liberty, right? And the answer to that depends on who you ask. So for me personally, there are issues I just simply care about more and think are much more important. Like, I do not think mask mandates are some great tyranny in comparison to, say, police brutality or all of the anti-LGBTQ bills going on right now, or take your pick. I think there are some things that are more immediate, direct human rights violations than others, and I've always been open about that.
Yeah. So
Good
I did
answer.
put up. Actually, let me drop the comment here. So I did put up the QR code for the Center for New Liberalism. If you got your phone out, you can take a scan of the QR code. It'll take you right to the website there. Check it out. Again, some people may find issues with things um, that they stand for. I my personally do not find a whole lot of issues, and I did sign up to become a member recently. So
Cool.
um, you know, I
I see some familiar faces.
yeah,
I'm
I do
not
see
even
some
talking
familiar
about
faces
myself.
and people who've been in a libertarian esque spaces, but it's to me, I think the whole idea of pragmatism and moving the ball forward on these social issues, I think are the things that are needed right now. So more than you know, there are plenty of advocates out there for 2A. There's plenty of advocates out there for some of the other stuff, but right now the fire is within the social realm, and I think that's where I kind of hitch my
Yeah.
wagon to. So
And I mean, like, again, another reason I made the switch is it's like, do you want to play the game or not? Like, do you want to make change or not?
Yeah.
That's it was as simple as that for me. And if you care about pushing policy forward and you're not a lobbyist and you want to, support candidates and whatnot, the only realistic way is through the duopoly, whether, unfortunately or not, that's just what it is. Unless we get ranked choice voting and the system itself changes, it's always going to be the same. Or if Andrew Yang has deep enough pockets and the forward party gets somewhere, then, we'll see. But I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon.
yeah.
But,
Oh, by the way, another party that just spoke up, Drew Bingaman of the Pirate Party. Congratulations on becoming the captain.
congrats,
That's
Drew.
awesome. That is awesome.
But another thing that I like to talk about is the Libertarian Party doesn't just fail because it's a third party. That's one reason, but that's not the only reason. The biggest reason is because you have a political party that has a philosophy ingrained into it. Not saying that's a good or a bad thing in general, but in terms of actually moving policy forward, the entire debate over radicalism and pragmatism in the party is because of that. And
Yeah.
that debate is always going to be there, and individuals are always going to clash as a result of that, as a result of whether or not this is you are more libertarian than the other guy, and that's been in the party for 50 years.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a new phenomenon.
you think of the first major schism, right? It's when Cato leaves, and all of those guys, and those guys were pragmatists,
Yep.
for want of a better word, and it would be hard to say that they are not more successful than the Libertarian Party that they left behind.
Yeah.
I mean, I will argue that Cato didn't really get anybody elected, but libertarians only gotten about 5,000 people elected in the last.
I would say that
40
with
years.
the money behind Cato, it has gotten a lot of people elected. So
Sure.
yeah,
Maybe indirectly, but they chose a different route. They didn't choose electoralism. And that's the difference. Like, if plenty of people in the Libertarian Party say, hey, let's create a think tank, or I know, Dan, you're working with a lot of nonprofit orgs and stuff. That's one way of doing it. But there's so many people that are in the political party that are like, I'm anti-electoralism and I'm anti-politics. And it's like, well, what are you doing here then? And I don't see that going away.
That was absolutely the debate that needed to be settled for this party to ever move forward, and it never got settled, and it's still being fought today. And until the party either makes that choice or burns up into the sun, it won't get anywhere. As far as it'll have some successes, but not anywhere.
Well, it's interesting because it is a sort of, sometimes it's a tail wagging the dog sort of thing for the party, where the most successful recruiting that the party ever has is when a presidential candidate runs and does well.
Yeah.
And then, membership goes up and stuff like that. But then we can't retain the people who come in because then they meet the rest of the libertarians. And,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I saw an interesting study that was done in 2016. I couldn't quote it right now. I don't have the file on my desktop. Just pull it up quickly. But what the study showed was how many Libertarian Party members versus voters agreed with the platform. And there was a stark contrast between how radical the card-carrying members were versus the voters, which, again, makes completely sense. Like, if you're that much in the party, you're going to, be more dedicated to the cause. But I don't have the numbers on top of my head, unfortunately, either. But I'll have to link the survey or something at some point after this. It shows that most LP voters don't even agree with how radical the platform is. A lot of people who vote Libertarian Party, they're like, I just don't like Democrats or Republicans, I'm going to vote Libertarian. They might not even know what that means, but they'll vote Libertarian or they'll vote Green because that's just the type of person they are. They want another option. But then we have the issue with, the LP isn't just a third option. There's a whole philosophy behind it. We're not just, we're in the middle, we're a centrist party. And that's where it kind of gets a lot more sticky when it comes to, candidates and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that you're right, that we get a lot of people who come in off of, the two primary issues of cannabis and marriage equality. Or, you're right to say that libertarians don't really believe in marriage equality. They believe in government out of marriage entirely. That becomes a thorny issue at times because, you can start to get into where people sort of define their family. And most libertarians would say your family is however you define it. And the biggest problem is that when government starts saying, we're going to give benefits to this family that looks like this, or that family that looks like that, and not other ones, that's where libertarians start to get mad about it. So it's true. It's very fair to say that libertarians don't really support marriage equality. What we support is equality before the law in terms of taxes. And if you're going to make a class of people that can get a tax benefit, then that benefit should be open to everybody, regardless of how they're living.
Yeah. To answer Ron real quick. I am thinking about it. I don't really have any interest in being a delegate or anything. I don't even want to think about what that business would be like. But I'm considering attending just to see what it's like, quite honestly. I'm very interested. And right now, I'm doing what I can locally and trying to on the state level. And I don't want to get into that too much, but I'm just trying right now to flip Ohio and doing my small part to just get rid of the GOP supermajority that we have in Ohio, because things are very bad for certain communities here. So
try not to hide Dan too much, but getting through these comments.
No, it's totally fine.
And I just saw.
Let's talk about the Democratic Freedom Caucus, because you are the Ohio state chair of the Democratic Freedom Caucus. So tell us about the Freedom Caucus.
All right. Let me first tell you guys about how I found it. So when I knew I was going to leave the Libertarian Party, I was just looking at my options, and I was like, Libertarian Democrats. And then the DFC website popped up. And I looked at it, and I was like, damn, this is like 20 years old. There's no way that they're even still around. So I sent an email, and I CC or BCC'd everyone, and somebody got back to me. And then I was like, wow, this is still a thing. I was like, damn, they need to update their website, which I have updated it somewhat. It could still be better. But anyways, that was my first thought with them. But I was reading it, and I was like, this is literally just, libertarianism, not Ayn Rand type libertarianism, but it's libertarianism. And they're a group in the Democratic Party that are trying to push forward these policies. It seemed perfect, and I'd say in some aspects, there are folks in the DFC who are more libertarian than I am, quite honestly, that have been lifelong Democrats. But to clarify something, the people in the DFC, they don't look at things as if, this is more libertarian or less libertarian or anything like that, because the term is very off-putting to people. Yeah. Especially people on the left who hear the word and they automatically think the absolute worst. If you've ever just looked up libertarian on a social media and you're not looking at not even the party, just the word libertarian, and you see the stuff that pops up. I remember when I first looked up the word libertarian on TikTok, the first video I saw with 40,000 something views was a person making a joke about how libertarians only want the freedom to lower the age of consent because they're pedophiles. That was the first thing I saw, top video. So I mean, the public's conceptions of libertarians has always been bad, even before the Mises Caucus.
Yeah.
And a lot of libertarians will say, well, if you go ask a voter, do you know what a libertarian is? They won't. That is also true. However, the people who are politically informed, they know about Ayn Rand, they know about, and I'm not saying all libertarians believe in what Ayn Rand believes or anything like that, right? But that connection from decades ago is still there. It's still in people's minds, whether it's true or not. That's what a lot of people think of, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on a little tangent there. I didn't mean to.
No, that's awesome. Democratic Freedom Caucus. And when I hear the Freedom Caucus, I think of, unfortunately, I think of the Republican.
The House Freedom Caucus.
The House Freedom Caucus.
And yeah.
Been kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting, though. I wonder if there's more overlap between the House Freedom Caucus and the Democratic Freedom Caucus, or at least if there's going to be opportunities at some point in time for them to say, these are things that we are allied on that are, and you'll forgive me for the phrase, but that our party masters are not.
Did you mean House Freedom Caucus or Republican Liberty Caucus?
Sorry.
Different words.
No, I meant the Republican Liberty Caucus.
Okay. I couldn't answer that. I honestly don't think so because, again, their conception of, can make sense. Their conception of liberty is not the same as ours. Right. Straight up.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm looking, I see the site here, but I don't see the core values page. I have to fix the menu on tablets or whatever mode this is. It's showing it up like.
This is PC.
Yeah, this is PC.
Weird. Okay.
Which one do you want to
Are you able to just. There's another page that I was going to ask you to pull up. Go on your URL bar. It's just going to be core-values, I'm pretty sure. And it should come up.
You can see how bad I type.
We actually can't see.
Done something rather recently that's just a much shorter version of the other pages. There we go.
Oddly, it pops up here.
Yeah. Okay. I knew I did that. Okay. I'll have to look at that later.
Okay. So, individual rights, personal and economic liberty, limited government, social responsibility, and this is basic libertarian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Social responsibility and intersectionality. That was the party I wanted to be a part of.
Oh.
That's the sad thing. We had that once, but no. I'm glad it's still existing in the Democratic Freedom Caucus. So
yeah, and the platform is rather long, and we're working on updating it. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know her, but Ashley Shade is our political director.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we have stuff cooking, but the platform itself, if you guys wanted to take a look at it, it sounds very, very familiar to the LP, I would say, without all of the conservative garbage that's coming out of it right now.
So there would be the pre-22 platform.
Yes. This platform was written, I believe, in 1996. It has been edited a few times since then, but it's still a bit dated in my opinion. That's why we're working on updating it. Even if just the language and stuff.
No military.
But yeah, I know there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. No, I mean, no military draft. I'm down with that. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing here that's supremely objectionable.
I've often thought that getting rid of selective service is something that ought to be a great unifying cause. I'm surprised that nobody has been successful in really taking up that mantle.
But I will say that over the years, it feels like. Sorry about that comment. Still be there. It feels like we're going backwards. We're seeing more people calling for the draft to do, like the uh,
Well, I
to
think that
not
there's
only do military service, but like
public service, yeah,
volunteer service, like volunteer
volunteers in
service.
service to America,
Yeah,
Vista,
yeah,
Domestic Peace Corps. Boston has a program called City Year, all that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a tempting thing because they say, do you believe that children benefit from a structured environment? Do you believe that giving them an environment where they can learn to do things without having to pay for college tuition makes sense? Yes. Do you support the draft? Or that's sort of
Do you support giving your kids PTSD and
exactly
nightmares
that's
like
right. That's the
that? You
argument.
don't tell the other shit about that kids
Well,
get
because
from.
but the interesting thing about it is that if you think about it, conscription, there are two exceptions to the 13th Amendment, uh, where it, in theory, ends slavery. And the exceptions are specific. One is that in the 13th Amendment, it says that prisoners can be forced to work as slaves. And then the other one, of course, is conscription. And those ought to be things, if there's a core liberty issue that we can talk about, something to unite people across the bands, maybe it's that. I don't know.
I would almost argue this, Drew, because I think that we see conscription still in countries that are far more left wing than we are. It's I think it's more
Well,
rooted in the idea of nationalism than anything. And right now in our country, nationalism is much more on the right side of everything. But you're right, conscription is absolutely slavery.
yeah, I mean, it is an interesting thing. You think of the countries that have, right, the two biggest countries that have in your face conscription right now, I would argue are Israel and Ukraine. Okay, and both
Yeah,
make the argument that they have conscription because that's what you need if you want to live there and maintain a country, and it's easy to the leave the country, although it's actually not. Men are not allowed to leave Ukraine. They are
yeah.
Wow.
conscripted to service. Uh, uh, and I mean, it. I can't say it is what it is. That's a terrible way to run a country. But certainly in Israel, everybody who wants to leave can.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, Israel, their conscripted service goes like to 45, right? I mean, it's a much older age.
Well,
You're able to be called up until
yeah. It is. It's 2 years of active duty, and then you're in the reserves until you're 45.
Yeah.
Although if you come to the country after age 30, you are sort of exempted. They're not going to make you do that 2 years of active duty. That gives you the stuff to do the reserve duty afterwards. Anyway,
So
I think. Go ahead, Dave.
yeah. So Brianna, tell us about if somebody's interested in getting involved in like the Democratic Freedom Caucus or CNL. Um, uh, what should they do? Should they just go to the website? Should they? In fact, I've got QR code if you're interested in going to the.
So there are a few things people can do. They can go to either of the websites and sign up. They can go to either of the websites and become dues-paying members. They can join. CNL doesn't have an online group, but for dues-paying members, we do have a Slack. Democratic Freedom Caucus, we have Slack, Discord, Facebook group, all that fun stuff. So, low commitment for people who just want to see what we're about before making any financial donations or anything, although we do appreciate those as well. But yeah, like, they are different organizations. I won't lie to you. So if you consider yourself to be more of a moderate, pragmatic person, I'd say, go towards CNL. If you cannot get behind sacrificing your principles for anything, I'd say the DFC might be more your speed. And I'm just not to like box them in that sort of way,
Mhm.
but just to make it simple for everyone without getting into all the little details. That's what I'd say the distinction would be.
Absolutely. So again, if you have your phone out, you can take a picture of the QR code, and it'll
Mm-hmm.
take you right to those websites. This is the Center for New Liberalism, and I'll give you all of that. We'll share these at the end of the broadcast as well. And here is the Democratic Freedom Caucus. Again, check them out. Go with an open mind. I promised when Reno happened that I said that the car that we had all been in had gone off the road of freedom and was in a ditch, and it was not going to move anytime soon. That there are other ways to go down the road to liberty. And there are many different vehicles that you can climb into and achieve that road to liberty. Whether you're getting with Dan with Let Live, doing other. Other parties, whether it's the Pirate Party or the Keystone Party of Pennsylvania, or or with the Democratic Party, or Andrew Yang's party, the Forward Party, whatever you're doing, moving the ball forward. There's plenty to do, and there's plenty of vehicles to do it with, and this is one of those vehicles. So go check it out, take a look at it, see if it fits you, and if it does, join up. I will give you the last word. Then, Brianna, tell us about
You're
each of
ending
the
already?
organizations. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, you have to stay and help us with the news quiz, though.
Yeah, the news quiz is
All
coming
right,
up.
we'll,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to keep you guys here all night, so I'm just gonna say thank you, everyone. I'm glad you all invited me here. I haven't been on a podcast in quite some time,
Thank
so I
you.
hope I did okay.
Oh, you did fantastic. I'm so happy to have you here tonight because just to hear from you and to see what you're doing and all the good stuff that you're doing, rising from the ashes of the Libertarian Party and still moving forward in the political world after all the crap that you did and had to go through. It's a testament to your character and all the things that you do, and that you still want to fight for freedom. Uh, you know, and you're just an awesome person. I'm so glad that we had this chance to connect and do the show tonight. So, and I know that AJ and Dan are much the same way. I know AJ's been fangirling about it, getting you on the show as well.
I
So.
really have. It's one of my favorite members of Gen Z. Let's do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know some people forget that. People know me online and they think I'm like 20, 27, and I'm like, no, I am 22. I'm Gen Z.
Even if you were 27, you would be Gen Z. Isn't that wild?
Oh no, I don't like that. Don't tell me that.
I know, right?
All right, let's bring
Yeah,
up.
like thank you guys again, and like it's been motivation for me. Those ashes have been motivation. So that's all I gotta say. And if anyone else is feeling motivated to actually do something, just go and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so time for the news quiz. We do the CNN 5 Things weekly news quiz. It was done on Thursday, so August 31st. Everything that's happened Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not on this quiz. Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. Rest in peace, Bill Richardson, and all the other news that's happened since Thursday. So my sister posted a meme that apparently Bill Richardson was dispatched to try and rescue Jimmy Buffett from heaven. So, which makes sense. Bill Richardson was famous about going to foreign countries and negotiating with the worst people and getting results. Brittany Griner. So I think he was part of the Otto Warmbier getting him released from North Korea, even though that didn't happen well, or end well. But yeah, sad to lose a diplomat amongst us. So But anyway, let's do the 5 things news quiz. Let's look at the context clues they give us. We get Apple. We get a stadium full of red. I know actually what this is.
Yeah, that's the
I
volleyball
think
game.
I do
The big
too.
volleyball game. Yeah, and then
Which is
space. It looks like the International Space Station.
The final frontier.
It is the final frontier.
The use
Actually,
of
we don't know
voyages,
if it is the final frontier because we don't know what's beyond the universe.
Starship Enterprise.
Yeah.
The
All right.
5-year mission is to boldly go. Sorry.
All right. Question: Hurricane Idalia made landfall on Wednesday in which state? Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, Massachusetts.
Brianna knows this one.
I was gonna say Florida, but then I saw Wednesday, and I was like, wait, was it Wednesday? But that's
All
Yep.
going
right.
with Florida.
It is correct. It is definitely Florida.
Carol got it. Way to go, Carol. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Florida, or as we like to refer to it on the channel, America's penis.
Flo.
I wasn't sure if it had hit any of the other southern states or not.
Well, it went through
It
Georgia.
did, but it's it did. But this question was landfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it
Fair.
hit the Big Bend region of Florida.
Yep.
Mhm.
So Idalia made landfall as a powerful Category 3 hurricane on Florida's Gulf Coast, inflicting millions of dollars worth of improvements. So, but yeah, with deadly storm surge. How many people died in this thing? Do we know?
Hopefully not.
Not that many.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten good about. I think since Katrina, I think people have gotten good about getting the hell out of the way.
It's interesting. There's a great book that I would recommend to people who are interested in this sort of stuff called Isaac Storm about the 1900 hurricane in Galveston.
Oh,
And still the deadliest day in American history in terms of natural disasters, even more than 9/11. And they had no idea. They had no idea that a hurricane was coming.
oh yeah.
And
I mean, back
they
then,
just
how
wiped
would you
them out.
know that a hurricane's coming? Like,
Well, what's interesting about it is they knew that a hurricane had hit Havana, but they didn't know that it was coming to Galveston.
yeah. I mean, how do
And
you?
so, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
All right. Question number 2: How many astronauts recently arrived at the International Space Station?
This is the worst. I hate it
2,
when they
4,
ask
6,
us
or 8.
goddamn number
Numbers.
questions.
I think it's 2.
You do. You really do hate it.
Generally, they bring in 2 astronauts.
I would say a small number because it's space and that's compact. 2 makes sense.
I'm going to say 8,
Why?
but because it's always either the least or the most. So
Oh,
I
you're
think
right.
if the audience has any idea,
Yeah,
what they could do.
generally. So I mean, there's not a ton of room in the International Space Station,
Right.
and generally, so I'm trying to. My guess is that they had to launch from. Oh, wait a minute.
Ken says
Ken
4.
said 4.
I don't know what that second wire means, but James says 6.
Did they swap out 4 for 4? Is that what he means?
I don't know, but maybe we compromise on
The
4.
audience is everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Generally,
We
it's
need a 50-50.
because they're launching from Baikonur or Star City in Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
Um,
it just seems like if you could take 4, why would you take 2?
I'll go with 4, but
all right.
All right.
I don't
Let's
know.
do 4. Let's do 4. And it was 4.
Yeah.
all right.
It was a SpaceX capsule.
Nice
8
job.
felt like too many.
Oh,
Yeah, 8's
There's
too
one
many.
to 7 already orbiting, so that's where you got the 7, Janice.
Right.
Ah,
So 11 is total.
that's a lot.
I
of
like that
people
James
in
is still sticking with 6.
there. That is commitment right there. That is commitment.
Yep.
All right. Question number 3: Which decorated gymnast recently won a record 8th all-around national title?
I know
Gabby
this.
Douglas, Sunny Lee, Michaela Moroney, or Simone Biles?
I know this one.
I only know one name there, so I'm not going to know this answer.
Which name do you know?
I know
Same
Simone
here.
Biles.
That's all you need
There
to
you
know.
go.
That's
all you
correct
need to
answer.
know.
That's it.
But
That's all we need
Michaela-
to know.
You do
All
know
right.
Michaela, 'cause she's the one who makes the face.
She's the main.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the meme. She
Okay.
has that kind of studied.
Yeah.
Not impressed meme.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's Simone. She took time off to work on herself and came back and whooped fucking ass. Like I
Yeah,
paid
she did.
attention to this. It's a
Yeah.
big deal.
It's really cool because yeah, she had a. I won't even say meltdown. She just. We
She was
all
like, you know
have
what?
these moments
I need a
where
moment.
our mind and body are just not right, and she listened to herself, and that's cool because I think more athletes need to do that rather
More
than
humans.
force
More
more
people.
humans. Yeah. Yep. No more
Yeah, so,
twisties.
so many are just rushing to the grave constantly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
That is awesome. I'm glad that she was able to take that time for herself, even in the most, probably the most pressure packed time for her to do that with the Olympics
Sure.
there.
Sure. No, I mean, because
And
the
with all
clock
the
is ticking
negativity that
on her
came with
career.
it, people were like, I can't believe she's doing this. I can't believe, and it was like,
Yeah.
she's doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
So
I
I
can't
love
believe
that
she's
she came
doing it
back
and
and
letting
my
down America. And it's like, that doesn't let me down. She's
my
taking care of herself. That actually makes me happy.
my freshman year, and this is going to be a reference that I think Brianna and AJ will not get at all. But I went to the University of Texas, and I was an incoming freshman in 1986. And I went to class with Mary Lou Retton, and she drove around in a Corvette. 85 was the first year of the new Corvette, and it had a big Mary Lou license plate on it. It was
I
just
know who Mary Lou
pretty
Retton
crazy thing.
is.
You know who Mary Lou Retton is? All
Oh,
right.
I
yeah.
do. I do.
All right.
I had a crush on Mary Lou Retton.
That's
Yeah,
very
I mean,
I think
she.
interesting.
most American males had a crush on Mary Lou Retton in like
I feel like
1984.
the poster was pretty popular around that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was little. I was 4 in
Yeah,
'86. So like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Which airline received massive fine for keeping passengers waiting on planes during lengthy tarmac delays? Southwest, Spirit, American, or Alaska?
If I had to guess, I would say it was Spirit, but the camera picture doesn't give me those
It's
colors.
always
But
Spirit.
right, I mean, they call it that because that's what they drain from you when you fly.
But yeah, there is no yellow in that pixelated photo.
Yeah. I
Oh.
see red, which,
Southwest?
yeah, maybe Southwest.
Maybe Southwest.
Oh, Southwest. I mean, that might be.
Here's the thing: if we
Oh,
were going to
Jana
go,
says.
Janice says American. If you were going
American.
to go
Oh
statistically, if you're going to go statistically, I would say American because they have more flights than anybody else.
Sure.
no. Fair.
So
All right.
I'm content to go with American.
Let's do
All right.
American. And it is American.
Yeah, look
American
at that.
received
We
a
are
$4.1
rocking the
million
quiz today.
fine, which is budget dust. Department of Transportation for extended tarmac delays that impacted thousands of travelers over the past few years. That doesn't seem like a lot.
It means nothing, though. See, this is what's stupid about it, right? You find them, and they just add that onto the ticket price
Yeah,
for the next day
yeah,
and make it
exactly.
back. So it's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mary Lou Retton is a native West Virginian. So,
What?
yeah, she's in West
Well,
Virginia.
Huh. That seems
All right.
unlikely.
Question number 5. Well, she probably started her gymnastics career in West Virginia and moved to the Caroli's compound.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
part is
so-
definitely true. But also, I have seen her. She has 10 fingers, 10 toes. And I know that's not common in West Virginia.
Hey, hey, damn it.
damn it.
All right, question number 5. After a 35-year run, which department store closed its downtown San Francisco location due to a spike in retail theft?
Oh, I kinda know
JCPenney,
this.
Nordstrom, Macy's, or Bloomingdale's?
I'm gonna.
Janice, we're gonna need you.
Yeah, I agree. Nordstrom, no way. I mean, if Carol says it's Nordstrom, I'm likely to believe her. But
I didn't think
it
Nordstrom
just doesn't seem like you would have a Nordstrom in downtown San Francisco.
Oh, Janice.
Janice also
Janice
says Nordstrom. All right.
So,
Yeah.
high
I will
degree of confidence now.
bow.
And it was Nordstrom.
All right.
So, yeah,
Nice
I know that
job.
San Francisco's been dealing with a rash of theft, the police.
All malls
Family
have
trees
been.
are a stump. I'm
Wow.
sorry. The comments tonight are killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all malls are suffering this at this point in time. In fact, there's such a rash of theft of dishwashing detergent or
What's wrong?
laundry detergent now that a lot of stores only have a slip for laundry detergent, and you pick up a piece of paper when you shop, and then you check
Well,
out with it, and then
I
somebody
know
gives it to you at the end.
a lot of stores, especially convenience stores or like CVS, your pharmacy type stores, um, have everything under lock. Like if you
Yeah,
want something, you have to go and get it. And yeah, San Francisco's had, and it's a mix of the throwing a temper tantrum over the quote unquote defund the police stuff, and like
well,
when we talk about criminal justice reform, we're not saying don't go after people actually committing crimes of property. We're talking about let's not shoot the black guy because he twitched and made a move, put his hand on the steering wheel, may have had a
yeah. Let's
cell
stop.
phone in his hand. That's the shit that we're talking
Yeah,
about.
we're saying stop. Yeah, stop prosecuting nonviolent crimes.
Yeah, that type of stuff.
But it is. It also, I think, there is something you can't ignore the fact that this is an economic thing, and the fact of the matter is that, like the laundry detergent, for example, reason why people are stealing it is that these jugs are worth $30 to $40, and so you can grab one and steal it and make $40 that day, and that's why it's happening.
That's
I
great.
And
gotta
that's
say,
what,
I've been in a CVS that has been robbed twice. I have been present for at least 2 CVS robberies.
Holy
What the
crap.
fuck?
Yeah. No guns or anything, but I don't remember what happened the first one because they went out, the alarms went off. I wasn't watching. I was just
the
doing
second one, you
my sweet ass time shopping. The other one,
were driving the car.
cream. Yeah, no, I swear, I do not. Guy opens the freezer, has a basket, just a bunch of ice cream, and I'm like, out of all of the things you could steal, why ice cream?
Right.
I will never know to this
I mean,
day.
at least they're not licking it and putting it back. I mean, that
Right.
we've advanced
like-
as a society enough.
I know this one.
Yeah.
Oh, you know this one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
I know this one too.
Oh God,
Oh,
yes.
no, I already gave out the answer. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
No.
And this actually goes into something we were talking about earlier about the libertarian being a pejorative term now, with him being called a libertarian in a recent Hill article. But yeah, which 2024 Republican candidate was asked to stop using Eminem's rap songs on the campaign trail?
Well, a
Was it
lot of people think
Ron
that
DeSantis,
it's
Mike Pence, Vivek Ramaswamy, or Chris Christie?
a lot of think that it's Vivek for the "Lose Yourself" song, but it's actually Chris Christie for Kim, the song where he puts his wife into the trunk and then. Sorry,
That's wrong.
If only it was Chris Christie, I would have laughed a lot more.
that's
Yes.
my deep cut Eminem reference.
Yeah, but I've been seeing so many people talk about this guy, and like he's like the next Ron Paul or something. And I'm like, have you heard anything that he
listen to
said? Anything at all? Any of his policy proposals?
Yeah, I
No.
think that
But-
he's like 10% sane.
Yeah.
And-
That's
Like,
generous.
well, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and people eat that up. They buy right into it.
well, that's exactly what it is. Is that I think that he believes his own bullshit, which is, different than say Mike Pence, Ron DeSantis, and Chris Christie, all of whom know that they are huge fucking liars and would do anything they possibly could to sit their ass down in the chair in the Oval Office. Anything.
I'm telling everybody, watch The Guild. It's a web series. You can watch it on YouTube.
Felicia
It is a-
Day.
Felicia Day. But he is Zabu. He is absolutely Zabu. Watch it.
I don't think you can say that.
Huh?
I'm just kidding.
No, he is. I mean, he's like this just spastic, forlorn dude that Yeah, I mean, he's not he's not a libertarian at all.
Yeah. I
In
will
any sense
say,
of the term. Well,
I,
maybe
I,
Misa's libertarian,
I will
perhaps.
But
say,
of course, all the Republican candidates are always libertarian and never the other way around. So
yeah,
Mhm.
I will say that there is
Yeah,
an
you're right.
interesting, it's at least worth commenting about that. It's a great showing for Americans of Indian descent in this run, right? Nikki Haley, Kamala Harris, and Vivek.
Yeah.
That's something.
Actually, I do follow the actor for Zabu, and I can't remember his name at this point, but actually, a really cool dude. Yeah, I would vote for him over
All right.
Vivek. Absolutely. Let's see. Question number, what are we on? 7. What percentage of people in the U.S. have some immunity to COVID?
I know this. Before you even show it, I'm going to say 70%.
70%. All right, so it's 13, 42, 76,
No one in my house.
47.
Wow.
So you're going to say
I would,
76?
I would guess 76.
76.
Yeah.
We got 1%. $1. Rip Bob Barker.
I'd
really
buy
talked
that
about
for
last week.
$1.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't talk about that last week. Rip Bob Barker. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
Janice says 97%. I'm gonna say
no.
no because I know several people, including AJ, that have come down with COVID in the last.
AJ, and you have COVID, don't you, Dave?
No, I don't have COVID yet.
Tyler also has it.
Tyler has it. Yeah, I did not get it. Well, at least I don't think I got it when I was in DC this last week. So
I'm pretty sure that it's 76%.
76%. All right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 97%. Absolutely not. But 90. What?
Golly.
Are you kidding me, Janice?
damn. I am
Janice,
so
that is-
fucking special.
That is some government misinformation right there.
that is awful.
well, you know what? It says some immunity.
Yeah, I
Some
mean, what
immunity.
does that mean? That they have white blood cells? All right, I'm calling some bullshit
Wow.
here. Fucking CNN.
It is not pleasing. 97%. Wow. I
Some
mean, because
immunity.
I always
That
thought
is
that the immunity would wear off. That's why you had
Well,
to go get
what's interesting?
boosters and
What's
shit.
interesting though, is saying through vaccination, infection, or both. So, I mean, it is. I guess it makes
Oh,
sense
Yeah,
that
I
almost
guess.
everybody who hasn't been vaccinated has been infected.
Interesting.
That's what they're
so
saying.
is my immunity going to be like insane because like I was one of the first to get the fucking vaccine, got them. I have not done boosters because then I kept getting COVID. So it was
Yeah.
like, this is stupid.
I am
Um,
holding out for the October booster, which will be my 6th, because the October one covers this latest thing that's
Yeah,
out right
I'll
now.
probably wait till the next one
the
because
thing that I just had,
Yeah. Did you
okay.
have the new?
I have
What
no
is it?
idea what I had. I tested at home and we did over the counter
Yeah.
medication. I mean, I've got everything here to take everybody's vitals. So
Yeah.
we just stayed the hell home.
Well, that's a good decision.
sound policy.
I mean, I thought so. Besides, it was very people-y out there.
Yep. It's true.
All right, question number 8. Which substance is being reviewed as a possible reclassification in the U.S. as a lower risk drug?
I'm surprised
Vicodin,
I don't know this.
Oxycontin, marijuana, or fentanyl?
I mean, it's got to be marijuana.
I would hope so, because I don't think any. Well, I mean, Vicodin is well.
The
No, I think
problem
it's got to be. It's got to be
it's
cannabis.
got to be cannabis because Vicodin. We know the statistic on this. 80% of the people who become addicted to opiates start on somebody else's prescription drug, and it's Vicodin as much as anything else. My little piece about this: if you go down to Home Depot or Lowe's in your neighborhood, you will see a group of people out in front who want to work day labor. In Massachusetts, it was $100 a day cash, which is pretty good for a tax-free earning. But the problem is when you do that, you're not covered by healthcare insurance. There's no days off. And if you hurt yourself, you still need to make the money. And so somebody sells you a Vicodin for $25. Next thing you know, you're addicted.
That would be awesome, James.
Brett Favre was addicted to Vicodin, among his many disreputable things. Brett Favre, right? Brett Favre, who also texted pictures of his junk to a woman while his wife was in the hospital with breast cancer, and then decided to defraud the entire state of Mississippi.
Yeah, for a volleyball arena.
Yeah.
Which we'll have a question about that here in a moment.
Good times. Wow.
All right, question number 9. Speaking of volleyball, which college sport set a world record for attendance this week?
Volleyball,
tennis, or basketball? And it's absolutely awesome. It's women's volleyball in the state of Nebraska. So Nebraska's football stadium is, they famously say that when they
very big.
When Nebraska is playing football there, that the football stadium is the 3rd largest city in Nebraska. It's over 100,000 people, and actually 92,000 people attended the Nebraska women's volleyball match against Omaha. So
wait, Carol,
I
are you? I think Carol just called the Nebraska women's volleyball team backhoes, which is not appropriate, Carol.
I don't even know what that means, and I don't know if I want to know.
I am completely taking her thing out of context. She was talking about the previous topic. And
that shows how much my brain is. Like I just completely moved on. I didn't even remember what we were talking about.
Yeah. You know what? It's nice though. People who haven't watched, we have a couple friends of Liberty. Hannah Christensen, who I think a lot of people know as president for the Foundation of Harmony and Prosperity. It was a collegiate volleyball player who played for Texas Tech. And volleyball is just a great sport.
Yeah, I love volleyball. All right, question number 10. Apple is widely expected to unveil the latest version of which product in the coming days? The iPad or iPod, iPhone, iDrone, or iTunes? It's got to be the iPhone.
It's got to be the iPhone.
The iPhone. I'd be surprised if it was anything else.
I don't even think they make an iPod anymore, right?
I don't think so either.
And iDrone is Yemen. So I agree. iPhone.
Yes. iPhone 15.
Always.
iPhone 15, people are already lining up outside of Apple for it to drop. I don't know.
I tell you what, I am excited that they're switching over to USB-C because friggin' everybody should standardize. It's so much easier at this point in time. And USB-C is insane. Like I'm looking at right here. Let me show you on my camera. See that little USB-C right there connected to my docking station? I am running my gigabit Ethernet, 2 monitors, mouse, camera, microphone, everything through one USB-C connection. It's friggin' insane. It's so much better than Apple and their proprietary shit. So,
but you know that Apple's going to do something to the USB that is going to make it proprietary, and you're going to have to buy their charger to be able to charge their iPhone on it. So,
but they've been using USB-C on the laptops for a while.
But in fact, I've got a Apple one. In fact,
I'm still mad about the headphone jacks.
Oh,
I was just about to say that.
To get a phone that had no headphone jack and had to buy a piece to put into the phone to use wired headphones, to use the Apple headphones.
I agree.
My favorite word in computer is dongle. You had to get a dongle to attach to your phone to be able to plug in a headphone.
Yeah, my favorite phrase is
Bluetooth. Bluetooth is kind of the norm now, but
you need a battery. I mean, a headset is an important thing. I'm wearing a headset I'm wearing earbuds right now. In places when I do long plane trips, like I think I'm going to Israel in November, and there's a direct flight from Dulles, but man, it's a long ass flight. I'm not going to count on my wireless headphones to survive that flight.
Yeah. This is the Apple laptop charger. So, I mean,
and that's
still
USB-C.
Kind of clunky. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife has an old MacBook, I mean, from a long time ago, actually. It's funny. We were talking about we should replace it because it's 10 years old, but it still runs like a friggin' champ. I'm one of those people who I love the Mac laptops, but I hate Apple. Anyway, 90%.
Yeah, 90%, not bad. Not
That's
bad.
not bad.
I think we were 80% last week. We missed a couple.
Yeah.
Last week. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for the week. Let me go through our stuff.
Everybody, please like, subscribe,
Yeah,
follow, all those things. Tell your friends too.
Hit the bell.
Yeah, hit the bell. All those things, guys. If we don't make more money here, Dave's going to
That's
have
my
to
hockey show.
broadcast in a skimpier shirt. So,
Oh God, don't do that to me. Don't do that to the viewers. But check out our new merch store. So if you want something that has political deep dive on it, scan the QR code here, or I put the link in the chat earlier. Check it out, Lou Dog Design.
I put a link for the Woke AF thing on my Facebook page.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I love
that
that
is
one.
awesome. That's awesome. For the Democratic Freedom Caucus, here is the link to that. Go check that out. Scan the QR code there. And then also the Center for New Liberalism, for that organization. Go check them out. And Brianna, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Yeah, we don't always do interviews on the show, but I knew when I was like, I need to have somebody on the show, and I knew that you're out there and wanted to hear what you had to say and all these new organizations that you're working with. I wanted to give them a shout out and some publicity. So thank you again so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. And you're welcome back anytime. Anytime you want to do trivia.
Let me know when.
Yeah. Well, anytime you want to do trivia, come hang out with us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us this week. We will probably do a free fall next week. Maybe have a topic. I'm not sure yet, but we will be because we didn't choose a country last week. We did get a suggestion from one of our viewers, Janice. Thank you, Janice. Next week we will be doing the libertarian haven of Somalia.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about Somalia, the down and dirty history of Somalia from the time that the British and the Italians left.
Yeah, the Italians.
Black
Hawk Down.
Talk about all that stuff. Yeah, we'll go through the causes of the clan warfare and all that stuff. So we'll talk about that next week. So thanks for joining us, and we will talk to everyone next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.